Once Upon a Halloween, a story by Priscilla and Morton Houliston. Once upon a Halloween, when the moon had just risen over the hills and all of the little village was quietly sleeping, something strange was happening in the cemetery. The old graves, usually sitting in silence on the edge of the ancient forest, just out of view of every cottage window in the wee parish of Houliston, seemed to come to life tonight. Maybe it was the moon. Maybe it was the clouds. It seemed to rise to the purple velvet sky to block out the twinkling stars. Or maybe it was the wind blowing in from the North Sea. Motion was everywhere. Stones worn from the weather of time seemed to go wonky and wiggle, almost dancing on the dried grass between them. The first sight to appear before our unbelieving eyes was the fingers of a mummy pushing their way out of the earth and standing upright on amethyst stilettos, clutching a bag filled with who knows what. To make this sight even more shocking, the mummy only had one eye, large and loosely floating in the stained bandages that held it all together. The eye rotated around the cemetery as it was looking for something. A groan of joy happened when the eye landed on a green hand poking out of the dark, dank, arable soil. Tiny fingers clutching a bone of candy broke free all at once, and a little green elf appeared. Elphinstone reached to his headstone that had a carving of a goblet in the middle and plucked it out. The stone also held the tale carved deeply in it, telling the words of his sad tale. He had been a free-spirited elf, always doing good deeds, but had been trapped by an angry witch long ago. He was an elf in stone. He was curious to look at because his face had 3 different sides to it. Looking at the little elf from the front, you'd be sure to think he was happy without a care in the world. His head tilted to the right, see a sadness so deep it would break your heart. On the other side of his face, there was no expression at all. He truly was an enigma. Without any further waiting, a tall and lanky pumpkin person popped on the scene and gathered the little troop together. "Happy Halloween," they sang out, and they greeted each other as the witch with the charming face looked deep into the eye of her crystal ball to see just what hijinks they'd get up to tonight. The town cat, Morton, meowed loudly and got the attention of the Halloween friend. Then, with a simple twitch of the nose and wave of the whiskers, each one of the Boo Crew understood just how to make this Halloween the best one yet. There were 12 little ghosts that were lost somewhere out there. A group of Halloween heroes were off to find them, but there was just one problem. How do you find a ghost that doesn't know it's missing? One of the team, a ghost who had been hanging around doing hauntings in an old church for over 100 years, she was filled with lots of ideas that she'd whisper quickly to the group just to have them tell her that her idea would never work. It didn't stop her, though. She kept coming up with one crazy idea after another. Finally, she blurted something out in an excited giggle. And Morton the cat perked up his ears and held up a sooty black paw. "That's no such a daft idea after all." The rest of the crew hushed as the ghost shared the plan again. This just might work. The pumpkins were going to be the key to finding the 12 missing ghosts that had been scattered far and wide by a whistling wind last Halloween. Jack-o'-lanterns would roll as fast as they could, smile as sweet as Halloween candy, they'd spy a ghost, hold still and glow. Who can resist the smile of a glowing pumpkin on Halloween? The first pumpkin traveled north, just outside the city of Edinburgh, to Craigmillar Castle, and the courtyard that was covered in blue moonlight glowed with love and light, catching the eye of the first lost ghost it spied. As the ghost came down from a ruined turret of crumbling stone, it was happy to see a friendly face. The two were best friends at once, and the little ghost held the pumpkin tightly as it flew away home to the old cemetery in the parish of Leiston. This continued all over Scotland, from the kingdom of Fife to the Scottish borders, and all the highlands and islands, with the big moon smiling over their horizon, getting ready to go to sleep for the day and be replaced by the warm autumn sun. The 12 lost ghosts were home, and Halloween for 2024 was nearly over. One little pumpkin who was too small to go on the ghost hunt and rescue was feeling sad and useless. Didn't he be sad? We're all mates here, Morton the clever cat said. In a flash, just as the sun rose, the Halloween crew disappeared. All except one lucky black cat and a tiny clay pumpkin. He turned to clay with a forever smile on his face. Using his human voice and his strong Scottish accent, took a paw and gave the pumpkin a push, heading back to the barn he called home. A new toy that just so happened to be his best friend too. Happy Halloween, and may all the friends you find make you smile.